Hey, how's it going, guys? It's been a while, so I wanted to make this video. I finally got a chance to throw a leg over my buddy's 2025 FC250 Husqvarna, obviously, and it was, as you can see, the green map was on, so that was in the most aggressive mapping, unless my buddy changed the stock maps, which with the new CWO module on the front fender there, you see, you can make a bunch of adjustments, but he didn't know if he made any changes, so I'm going to assume it's just the normal white was, normal map, and the green was aggressive. Anyway, so throwing a leg over this bike, I was really curious to see the difference between this and my 25 250FX. And the first thing I noticed was the power was a lot smoother, a lot more linear power delivery. It didn't feel weaker or anything like that, but it just didn't have the snap of the YZ, which actually could be a good thing depending on your riding style. It just gave you a much smoother delivery. It was a calmer experience where it seems like you could probably ride this bike longer, more aggressively, because it didn't have that hit, right? The air suspension felt really good. Both James and I were both 170 pounds, so the bike's suspension was dialed into that weight, which was good. So it gives you an apples to apples. There was no modifications on this bike except for, you can see he has the XC bar mount, otherwise stock. And my bike is stock as well. I have not done anything to it, just adjust some clickers, obviously set the suspension up for my riding style. Other things I can say about this bike: handled really well. Power delivery, it felt quick. It felt like it had a lot of top end, actually, not as much low end grunt mid-range as the YZ. But even with the moto suspension, this track that we're riding was an old motocross track that a lot of people used to ride on, but as you can see, it's become overgrown. So it's local to us, and we decided to head out. Well, orange tractor in the background, you'll see, that's the owner cutting the grass down because he was like 2 feet tall when we got there. And so it actually I bring that up because it gave us a good idea of how we ride like hare scrambles. A lot of times the hare scramble courses that we ride on Sunday, a lot of the track is pretty virgin, so we get out there and it's a lot of grass track. So it was pretty good for that as well. And brakes, Brembos, felt great. His front brake is a little squishy, may just need to have the air bled, and James let me know that before I even started riding. Really, there's not too much to report. Otherwise, great overall bike. I hopped on it, immediately felt comfortable, felt like I can push. The handlebars, the cockpit, the seat to handlebar ratio, like I felt like I had to lean over at my hips a little more. The Husky bars were a lot flatter, which wasn't a bad thing, just something I noticed. Nice easy clutch pull from the hydraulic. It's funny how I really love hydraulic clutches, but having been riding my 250 with just the cable clutch, it's amazing at how on and off the cable clutch is in comparison to my cable clutch there. So if you guys have seen any of the dyno numbers on these bikes, the KTMs usually come out on top. The Huskies, they're right there. And James actually had the covered airbox on today. He didn't have the vented. And I'm trying to think of what else. There wasn't, really anything that stuck out. The only negative I will give this bike, and it's nothing new for me personally, the front end. I still feel like I can't trust this front end. What we're riding in, it's a lot of grass, and he just mowed the grass. It's a lot of clippings. So it made some of these turns really slick, and you can see me tiptoeing through some of them. Well, I really noticed that on the Husky in one particular turn where I'll put a little notation in the video of where that was. I couldn't really tell when I was losing the front end on this. So that was my really only negative. Other than that, all positives. If you're considering this bike, again, it's some of these brand new bikes. They're just so good. It's hard to find faults with them. So I'll hop on my YZ next, and I'll give you a little information, riding them back to back, hopping off of one right onto the other, and let you know my thoughts. All right, guys, so now we hop on the 25 YZ250FX, and immediately when I go back to back, so I have the bike set in the most aggressive map on the slider, and it's just kind of like the 450, right? It's so fast to rev up. It's an exciting power. Front end bit twitchy in comparison to the Husky, where, like I said, everything on the Husky was just like smoother, more linear. Everything on the YZ is a little more twitchy and a little more reactive, like everything's just snappier. And that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending what you like. So it's kind of pick your poison. The one big area, this turn right here, is the one I mentioned on the Husky. There's a lot of grass clippings on top of the dirt, and that corner was really slick. You felt like the front end was, you lose it, the rear end would start swinging around on you there. So on that corner, even though like it almost seems like too much feedback on the front end of the Yamaha, for some people maybe, I thrive on that. I love that feeling, and that's where I connect with these YZ chassis so much, is I can feel what the front end is doing, and it gives me confidence because I know when it's starting to go away. And again, if you watch my channel, it probably comes from riding road bikes for so long, where I really depend on that front tire to give me feedback of what's going on. So that's where I prefer the YZ. I really enjoy the snappy power of it. To me, it's just more exciting, and I've learned about myself over the past couple of years of switching, riding a bunch of bikes, is I'd rather ride more aggressive. It's more fun to me than to be, like a little more lazy. I'm not saying you can't do that on a Husky. I'm just saying on the Yamaha, that's where it really shines for me. Suspension on the YZ actually felt a little springy in comparison. The damping on that air suspension of the Husky was really good. I was very impressed how it soaked things up. Again, this is stock for stock, just clickers adjustments. No, didn't remove any oil out of my forks, and air pressure on James was set to whatever, like I said, 170 pounds, so whatever it was in his book. We didn't go over all the specs. We're not professional riders, as you can see. We're both actually 40 plus B riders and hare scrambles and Doros. So just to give you an idea of what you're looking at here. Yeah, just so a quick comparison. If you want more exciting power, more, riding on the front end where you can feel a lot of that front end feel, I'd say the YZ's for you. If you want a more smooth, linear, relaxed feel, the Husky's probably for you. Husky, the KTM Peer Mobility Group, all their components are very high end. They feel great. The YZs don't feel bad, but they don't feel as nice. I've said that in the past, but they hold up fine. Reliability has been great on this YZ. I will check in again in another video to let you know what the hours are. I haven't even checked. I just do my maintenance on rides. I don't really pay too much attention to how many exact hours are on it. So yeah. Anyway, no issues. Actually, let me back up. The bike threw a code during this session, not this session, but during this ride. I was getting a blinking orange light. When I looked up, and of course it cleared itself, so maybe I have to connect to the bike and see if it's still in there. But the code was like an 8 or a 9, something to do with the calculating of my fuel consumption. So nothing to do with engine performance or anything like that. So after I checked it, I ignored it. And to be honest, once I started the bike up again, it went away, and I didn't see it for the rest of the day. So not exactly sure what that was about. But yeah, anyway, if you have any specific questions or you want to see me ride it for a little longer, I only did about 3 laps on the Husky for comparison. Just wanted to try it out. And that's about it. But anyway, sorry I haven't been uploading a lot, but just been busy with life. And trying to enjoy a little bit of a summer break before our race season starts again. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.